Excuse me. So I just, hello, good morning again. I wanted to continue from the last video. And now I realized that I should make these videos in a sort of a continuing fashion, because now that I have a couple followers at least, I would think that even though I can't be very organized with the topics, at least there will be some kind of continuity between the previous and the next videos. So you wouldn't want to watch the newer videos first. You would want to watch them in order from here on out, hopefully. But I can't promise too much, but I'll try to keep it at least continuous if I can't keep it too organized, because I'm going to make political videos as well as Ayurvedic videos and philosophical videos, like I just talked about in the last video, where I mentioned the duality of the universe, and this how that is represented by the Star of David, the man, the woman, and the child, or the seed, in the middle. And here's the man and the woman, the sun and the moon, the day and the night, and the adult and the child, or consciousness and matter, or spirit and matter, or consciousness and energy, or Shiva and Shakti, or life and death, and so forth. Everything in the universe has two sides to it, and then there's a third side, like I mentioned before. So today I just want to continue with the science of breath and breath control, because the breath is a gateway to the mind, they say. It definitely is the gateway to the sinuses, and the sinuses are around the brain, which has a big impact on our mood and so forth. So we have the duality in the breath too. We have the intake of the breath, which is the prana vayu. Then there's the exhaling breath, which is the udan vayu. So as you can see, there are 5 different types of vayu, or vata, which is the gas humor, one of the 3 humors of Ayurveda, and one of the 4 humors of Western classical medicine, the black bile. So this gas humor, vata, has 5 subtypes, and they're located in different types of the body. I already mentioned the prana, which has to do with the inspiration, and it also has to do with the perceptions and movements of all kinds, respiratory activity, swallowing of food, conversion of breath into life force, spitting and sneezing. So prana is basically what you take in to survive, the life force in the universe, which sustains your own body and mind and soul. Prana is located in the head, chest, and the brain, and so it has to do with the breathing. Like I mentioned, it controls a lot of things, like breathing, or even absorbing food, I believe, swallowing of food at least, and it can cause these diseases if unregulated. Hiccups, cough, a lot of respiratory complaints, and other neurological disorders like giddiness and lightheadedness. Then we have the udan vayu, which is having to do with the outward breath. It's said to be the upward moving air. That's what I talked about in the video I made at Mount Baldy. It was the upward moving air. Since I was in a foothill, in a mountain near the foothill, there was a lot of upward moving air there. So this upward moving air is regulated by the throat and the lungs, and also the diaphragm and the chest. And so the upward moving air, or the udan, it controls the process of speech and voice, and the upward movement of breath, and is also responsible for strength, enthusiasm, and will to work. So if you're working, you see people, they blow out and they pant, and that exhale that they get, and they exhale sometimes, and they get energy out of it, like Popeye, and then suddenly he gets all this energy and he starts fighting or saving the ship or whatever. So anyway, Udana Vayu is responsible. Upward moving air is responsible for strength, enthusiasm, and willingness to work. So the inspirational air. So that's Udan Vayu. But when it gets out of control, and the diseases, it can cause ear, nose, and throat diseases, and eye ailments, and speech defects. So a lot of people who have speech disorders have a dysregulation of the Udan Vayu, or the upward moving air. Now, we've talked about the prana, which is connected to Udana because it's having to do with respiration. But prana controls the intake of air, whereas Udan controls the expiration of air. And prana controls meditation, I think, and acquiring knowledge, acquiring things in the world. Whereas Udana has to do with doing things in the world. Not taking things in, but putting things out. Now, all of these 5 winds are controlled by the one master wind, which is, so prana, this is the gesture for prana. This is the gesture for apana, which is the downward moving wind now. So the symbol for Satanism supposedly is this, and that's the same yogic gesture for the downward moving force. Now, what is apana? Apana is located in the colon, or specifically in the large intestine, and also in the lower abdomen in general, and organs of the pelvic region, such as the kidneys, bladder, rectum, navel. And it has to do with the elimination of waste. It keeps fetus in place and helps during birth. And is also, so all the things that move out, right, downwards, baby or shit or urine. It's also responsible for ejaculation of semen, sexual function, and also menstruation. So again, fluids coming out downwards. So this is a downward moving wind located in the lower part of the core of the body towards the hip. And its dysregulation can cause all kinds of urinary problems and kidney stones, bladder problems, anus, testicles, uterus, and urinary diabetes, and so forth. So that's all the downward moving force. And I was reading in another book that the Apana Vayu is, like I said, the master controller. It is said to be like the housewife in a traditional family, because she basically sustains and nourishes the whole family. And if she gets hurt or dies or whatever, then the family is hurt, even though she's not obviously up in the front of the picture, like modern feminists try to be, and many make fools of themselves doing so. But other people, the traditional housewife, she actually has more power because she controls everything through supporting everything. Like now is like men are supposed to do in America, I guess. But yeah, that's the downward moving wind, which I talked about in the last video. And then we have the upward moving wind, which is Udan. And then we have Prana, which is kind of like Chi, the life force, and has to do with the inspiration and the expiration. So what happens is you're moving, and then there's there's 2 more. There's Samana Vayu, which is in the stomach. Now, if you know, the gas humor is a cold humor. Wind is usually cold or cooling. So Samana, which is located in the core or in the solar plexus, that, since it's the hottest part of the body, is also called Samana, which means the balancing wind. And it's balancing